Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast, Pigeons. It's a special episode. First time, it's the Kings episode, and we have a new voice in studio, aka my bedroom. How about you introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? I'm Josh. Should be easy to remember that name. I'll be here with you tonight talking a little hockey.
And Josh is one of my friends from our men's league team, the Dudes. You've heard
Dudes.
me talk about them to ad nauseum, but Josh couldn't make it today. The other Josh couldn't make it today. He's got some birthday stuff going on. Tomorrow's his birthday, so if you follow him or something, make sure you wish him a happy birthday. And we'll get right into this because it's been about 2 weeks since our last episode, and a lot of big things have happened, especially in this week in general, and it's only Tuesday. For starters, 2 coaches got the boot. Was it this morning or yesterday? Quinville?
This morning, it was released that Quinville was fired. Coach Q. I know a lot of people in Chicago are upset about it. I mean, the man did bring 3 cups to that city after they were in, a 50-year drought? I think
Something along the lines of that. It was one of the first, quote-unquote, dynasties of our generation.
Yeah.
Because you never saw... you had teams visit back-to-back, or you had... I guess you could say the Devils in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because they were there. But, from when I started really paying attention to hockey and actually caring about teams other than, the Rangers, it was that. I remember the last time they won the Cup, I had just turned 21 at a bar. It was me, actually. Josh was there, and
Not me. Other Josh.
we were actually at the jug handle. We were in the basement. We were watching the game, and we saw Kimmo Timonen lift the cup. And even though I'm not a Flyers fan, you can't help but be happy for him. Even though I think he played 2 games, had total time on ice was 2 minutes, something like that. But it was a great thing to see, and that team has always been just like, all right, we're playing a Central West team. I hope it's not the Blackhawks, because you have killers on that team. And it's not like this team started off horribly. They're 6-3.
Yeah, what was really their downfall? They lost the last 5 straight games.
Yeah.
It's just you have a good start and then you drop 5 in a row. It's rough, especially after last year not making the playoffs, and the year before
Which was the first time in 9 years, something like that.
Yeah, and the year before that getting shut out by the Preds.
Yes. That was rough. Nobody... Oh, I just smacked my mic. Nobody expected that to happen. Losing the series, yeah, maybe. Getting swept, absolutely not.
And then the other coaching change was the LA Kings, which was the other part of the dynasty. It seemed like it was Blackhawks Kings every year. One of them was winning the cup.
Yeah,
they already get rid of Sutter, who was the one that brought them the cup. But
yeah, and then a second coach. When did Sutter get fired?
I believe it was last year they let him go. But Stevens, former coach of the Flyers, that was he was not there long. Well, he assisted when they were winning the cup, but other than that,
yeah, Daryl Sutter got the boot last year in April 2017.
Oof.
So that's like what you
John
saw.
Stevens did not last long in LA.
Not at all. And you saw something similar with the Flyers 3 years ago.
Oh, when they got rid of they got rid of
I think that was like 4 or 5. Yeah, which I thought was dumb.
Ago. Yeah,
that was
3
dumb.
games into the season, they got rid of Laviolette, and then 2 years later, they get rid of Berube after 8 games.
Yeah, and a lot of people want Hackstall to go too.
Oh yeah.
All I ever
sore
see.
Subjects.
Yeah, all I ever see. Dealing with Flyers Twitter after a game, it's almost like win or lose. I will see someone say fire Hackstall, and
what was crazy about the Stevens firing? It happened after the team won. So like you're on the hot seat, and then your team wins, and it's like awesome.
You feel like the pain's
Like,
alleviating.
we're moving on from this, and then all of a sudden you get the phone call like, nope, you're done.
That's got to be a rough thing. Was he was a part of a Flyers coaching staff too, wasn't he?
Uh,
John Stevens?
yeah, he coached them before Laviolette. He
Yeah.
was fired before they hired Laviolette. The year they went to the Cup in 2010
Yeah, that
and lost to John Quinville. So Joel Quinville. So
yeah, I always go with John too. I don't know. Isn't there a John Quinville? I think there.
yeah, that's Devils player.
Yeah, I
Johnny
was gonna
Quinville.
say. I
Yeah.
think he's like a defenseman. I mean, off. Other than that, off the rip, some good news. Chris Kreider just scored, but better news. Brian Boyle is America's hero.
Yeah.
The guy this year got the news that his cancer was completely in remission and it's gone. And how fitting on Hockey Fights Cancer Night, he drops a hat trick.
His first career hat
Yeah, first
trick.
career hat trick. I forget who they were playing.
Pittsburgh.
That's even sweeter. And I don't like the Devils. Always been a Boyle fan. Loved him when he was on the Rangers. I've said this so many times, but you can't be nothing but happy for the guy. He's the best.
Oh yeah, great guy. I say that like I know him.
Yeah, we're real good friends with him.
But it's just you love seeing that. You love players that are great for the community, and he really is. He everywhere he goes, nobody ever has a bad thing to say about him. Probably like the most loved player in his locker rooms, whatever team he plays for.
One of 13 children. That's a he's one of 13, and he's I think like the sixth.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. The
No
only
wonder
reason
he's
why
a
I know.
tough motherfucker.
Yeah, you got a lot of older brothers. I think the only reason why I know that is because of the 24/7 special when they were in the Winter Classic against the Flyers. They had a giant Christmas party at I think it was his place, and his whole family was there. It's pretty impressive. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
what teams has he played for? The Rangers, Devils, Tampa Bay,
and Toronto.
Toronto. Toronto brought him in when they had Matthews and all the other young kids.
Yeah, I
Right?
think for their first
Yeah.
year.
I think it was that year because they wanted those kids to learn from a great veteran. which
Yeah,
is
he's
what he
he's
is.
one of those guys that will sacrifice everything for the team. I saw him basically take a puck to the face in the playoffs during the Tortorella reign of all right, you're stepping in front of everything that's coming towards the net. And he was a big player like that before, Torts. But he would just lay out in front of shots. He would take them play to the face area all the time.
He is 6'7".
He's a large man.
That is no wonder he lays out in front of shots. He can't get out of the way.
Holy shit, he played for LA. Kind of.
Yeah, drafted by LA.
Yeah.
Look
I
at that.
actually did not know that.
Look at that. We're pulling up his career.
Yeah, in 705 games, first career hat trick comes in his like 13th year. It's pretty awesome. Another person who got a hat trick was Cam Fowler, the seventh defenseman in NHL history to register a hat trick.
I love it. Gotta love it.
I don't even know who that list is.
And Cam Fowler, like he struggled a lot last year, and well, at least offensively, like he's a skilled defenseman. I would love to have an inch of his skill. I don't play defense, but it could probably help.
Yeah, he was always one of those guys that was like I don't know if I would necessarily name him one of those giant standout defensemen. He's always a decently sized name for the team. Oh, damn. I can't find it, whatever. But I feel like with Anaheim, they never had that guy besides Pronger, obviously, but a designated superstar defenseman.
No, they had Niedermeyer.
Okay, well, that was the same year. mean, they kind of overshadow each other. The year they won the cup, that defense was nuts.
That
But
team was nuts.
yeah, after that,
It's crazy to think that was 07.
11 years ago,
So yeah, hey, look at some of the teams that have
like Carolina
Carolina
won a cup.
I mean, Tampa Bay won a cup in 04.
04, yeah. And you skip a year, and then there was Carolina, then the Ducks, and then began the Chicago. Or no, I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh's reign.
Well, Red Wings, then
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
Detroit, Pittsburgh.
It's always fun trying to remember who won what.
In the last 10 years, Pittsburgh's won 3 cups. Chicago's won 3 cups. LA's won 2. Like, these...
It's nice now we're getting a little bit of diversity in, like, it's like, all right, well, who's coming? I mean, obviously you're going to see Predators are going to be an issue in playoffs. I really want the Sharks to be, but I think they took a step back. They don't, and obviously it's early. It's
the Sharks
15 games into the
back.
season.
You don't hear, that's a bold take in my opinion. Sharks taking a step back after they traded for Carlson.
Yeah.
They have Eric Carlson and Brett Burns,
who are arguably the best 2 defensemen in the league. You can make the argument that they're 1 and 2, if not they're 1 and 2 of the top 4 or 5.
When I saw that they made that trade, I was like, all right, so you're gonna have Burns out there for 30 minutes because that's what he typically plays in a night, and then you'll have Carlson out there for the other 30 minutes. Like, you're always gonna have a superstar on the ice.
I mean, Vlasic's still a great offensive / puck moving defenseman. Brendan Dillon's not bad. He's on the Sharks still. I
thought
think.
he was. Is he the one that
he get traded?
I think he was part of the trade.
Typing for shit.
But
no, he's still on the Sharks.
All right, yeah, Dillon.
He's not
good.
bad. I mean, he's your solid third pair. Will fight if he needs to, stuff kind of like that. Who else is in their defensive pairing?
And then their offense, you have names like Couture,
nuts.
Thornton, Timo Meyer.
Yeah.
We were just saying, like, where did he come from?
The abyss.
Like,
he's just, I don't know.
Dude just came out of nowhere and is having a great year so far. I mean, we're a little more than a month in. But, yeah, you got Thornton, Couture.
Hurdle,
who's injured.
Yeah.
But
hurt now, but he's still good. Timo Meyer is 6th, tied for second. In a 5-way tie for second.
11 goals.
And I mean, he's still got a bunch of.
He's tied. Wait, look at some of those names. Timo Meyer is there with Ovechkin, Landeskog, Kane, McKinnon.
He's got more goals than McDavid.
And Matthews both have 10.
And Matthews is out for a while, which is something that happened in that gap between this episode and last. Hurt his shoulder. Did they ever say what it was? I don't remember.
I
think it was a separation.
Injury.
Yeah, I think it was a separation of his shoulder or something like that. Something that'll be, he'll come back. He'll be right as rain.
Does Toronto need him with signing Tavares and having all that talent?
I'll tell you. What wouldn't hurt is having Nylander on the team right now to kind of, fill that role. Nobody knows what's happening with that. I mean, speculation at this point is they're going to trade him eventually. Because I think what deadline for restricted free agents is like December 1st.
Yeah, it's in early December.
Yeah, and then you're thrown to the Wolves or traded shortly before.
But if you're a team out there and you are willing to pay 4 first-round picks, because that's the cost of an offer sheet for somebody his caliber, I mean, do you consider
now
and then just try and get those picks back?
I don't know.
You got to be really desperate.
It has to be a win now team, and I see a lot of people go like, "Oh, the Rangers should make a play." No, because you have two great first round picks, just the players, not necessarily having the actual picks. Two first round options coming up now, whether or not they get that true shot at Hughes or Capo. Um, I mean, we'll find out closer towards the end of the year. But I don't know. I don't know what team it would be. It has to be a win now team. I don't think it would be nice for a rebuild team because he is only like 21, 22, something like that, if that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it'd be cool for Buffalo. Buffalo.
that would be unreal because they're pretty decent now.
Buffalo has a, they're they're in a playoff spot right now. I know that's not telling, but
Just
early,
holding on.
But Buffalo, if they get a talent like that up along with Eichel, Skinner, like they've got big names there. Dahlin, Rasmus
Ristolainen.
Yeah. Buffalo's a good team.
They're another.
It's weird saying that. Like
Yeah, and I've wanted them to be good for a while. It's like at this point, especially now since the Rangers are not quite a dumpster fire, but I mean they're going to be bad. And I'm just taking that day by day with the whole rebuild in mind. But Buffalo is one of those teams where they need that goalie. Like when they were good, but not really winning in the early 2000s when they had Ryan Miller and they had the Danny Brières. And they need that goalie back. I mean, who is their starter now? I have no idea.
Hutton, I believe.
Oh, Carter. Yeah, see, Carter Hutton's a good.
Which was a backup last year.
Yeah, he's a good backup, like above average backup, but he's not that number one starter quality. Now he could prove us all wrong, and he has in the past. Like he played lights out before for the Blues. When Elliott, I think they were tandeming or
not Elliott, Allen.
Oh no, yeah, it was Elliott and Allen, and then Elliott left, Allen Hutton. Yeah, but I mean he can pick up the slack when he's in that position that it's kind of needed, but he's not that guy that's gonna take you far. At that point, you're relying on Eichel and Okposo and Skinner and all those guys to.
Forgot Okposo was there.
Yeah, and Casey Middlestat, who has been a little bit under the radar, but it's a full first year. I think
just starting his rookie year.
Yeah, I think did they send him down? I don't remember.
But like, Buffalo used to be that team that you just look at like if your team is playing them, you just look at them and you're like, okay, we should win this. But you look at them now and it's like, I mean, we should still win this, but I'm not taking them. Like Buffalo's an upset.
Yeah, they're a team they'll ruin a lot of stuff for you too, especially later in the year. They'll easily come out with
There are a lot of teams like that. Buffalo, Arizona,
who have looked great recently. Up until playing the Flyers, they were on. They had some crazy goal differential.
They had only allowed more than 2 goals once this entire year, until the Flyers played them and they won
5-3, I believe, or 5-2.
5-2, and they've scored 7 shorthanded goals and only 5 power play goals.
I think that's. Well, I mean, they have the shorthanded goal master, Michael Grabner, which I don't know how much time he's getting.
Enough to.
Yeah, I know he had an overtime winner the other night. But they're a team that'll ruin some stuff. I love Carolina this year.
Carolina, I still worry about their goaltending.
Oh yeah, they're in the same position as Buffalo, except I don't know who's got a better core, Buffalo or Carolina.
Carolina scares me because, like they just scare me, not in a good way. Like I just can't rely on them. they're going to be up and down all year. I'm never going to take them in any kind of bet. I mean,
I'll take Sebastian Aho for a
well,
fantasy team right now,
that kid,
which I did for a daily.
that kid is extremely talented, and I mean, he's what else do they have besides him? Mike Williams,
Justin Williams.
Yeah, Justin Williams.
Tuvo Teravainen. Svechnikov's going to be good. I think he's just got a little stage fright, for lack of a better term, right now. I mean, he's played in every game.
He's the one that said in the draft, "If you don't take me, you're gonna regret it." And then
Did he? Because
was it him?
I don't know. Well, I know.
No.
I know Pavel Zadina said something
That's
along.
Zadina is the one that said that,
And I have no
he
idea
went to
how he's
Detroit.
doing.
Yeah. Oh, like
That was somebody else said that. Well, I mean, the person who was taken first overall before Pronger in their draft said something along the lines of that. They're like, "Yeah, you won't even remember who's second pick behind me." I'll tell you what, I can't remember that guy's name, but I damn sure can remember Pronger's name. And we've brought him up a few times in the past. But and Zadina's in the AHL right now for Grand Rapid. But how is he doing? Is the question.
yeah,
He's got 7 points in 11 games. It's not too bad.
I mean, it's also he's with Detroit, and Detroit is just
they're a dumpster fire.
But they make everybody start out in the AHL. Like you have to play in the AHL
Unless your name is Pavel Datsuk.
Yeah, but everybody on that team pretty much they force you to play in the AHL first.
Yeah, I remember. What was it? Like 3-4 years ago, it's when Nyquist came on the scene and Tatar when he was just tearing things up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those guys were Grand Rapid guys. There was a goalie that they had brought up.
And it did not work out.
No, it worked for a little bit, and then it took
Was it
a large time.
Mrazek's pretty young.
He's 26. Yeah.
It was probably Mrazek.
Could have been
because he had like 1.5 really good years there, and then bombed.
Yeah, and then they wanted him out before Jimmy Howard, which I think Jimmy Howard was the more spotty of the two goaltenders. He was real hot and then ice cold when he was healthy, and then he had glass knees, so he was rough.
But like looking at these standings,
they're real
just in
confusing.
general. I
Like-
mean, the fact this is embarrassing for the Metro. The Islanders are in first place. The New York Islanders, the team that lost
One of the best players in the league.
I can't say one of the best players in franchise. That franchise was stacked in the 80s. It was not fair, but
I would put him in top 10 probably.
yeah,
I'd have to. I mean, obviously, Bossy's going to be number one.
Yeah,
It's also an extremely different game, but Bossy is number one.
but Tavares,
Yeah.
he's a talent that team can't replace. And the biggest surprise I think about the Islanders is Barzell. He's doing okay, but he's not stepping up to fill Tavares' shoes like they expected.
Well, I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate on that because I have a few friends that are very vocal about their likes and dislikes of the team. But Barzell may not be like putting the puck in the net, but he's generating a ton. I think he's got some crazy amount of assists. I think he has. I'm gonna put out a guess. I think it's like 16 points. 14 or 15 of them are assists. It's nuts. I mean, and this kid is no short of talent. So, I mean, it'll be the first year that he's, you could say, okay, I was slightly off. 12 points, 11 of them are assists. So it's not like he's doing
one
nothing.
goal.
Yeah. He's not doing
One
nothing.
goal.
But, I mean, after last year was an insane year. And even still, like, he had a crazy amount of assists compared to goals.
Yeah.
So,
but to have
an 85-point season your rookie year is nuts. Yeah, I wish Besser stayed healthy because I would have loved to see more competition, like, just between the two for the Calder. Because I was riding the Besser train really, really hard because he was scoring all the time.
Besser,
And on a worse team, in my opinion, last year at least.
yeah.
And I mean, even this year,
Vancouver's doing
they're doing really well.
pretty well. They're second in their division.
Yeah. 9 wins, 6 losses. Elias Pettersson is a force to be reckoned with. That kid is insane. It's only a matter of time before he gets his first hat trick easily. He's gonna pop off against somebody, and if he's not on the map yet, he will be.
Big time. Like you look at some of the teams that aren't doing so well. It's Florida, who you can never count Florida out.
I feel like they're more of a mid-season team.
Yeah, they usually start off slow, and Luongo gets hurt, but they can turn it around. Barkov is an insane talent too. And then LA, who just needed to do their coaching change. But LA's last, Florida second to last, Detroit's at the bottom. Yeah, that sounds about right. Detroit is really bad. I don't see any positives for Detroit. Detroit's team is old, slow. They gotta pray that that Larkin can stay healthy and stay relevant.
Yeah, him, Athanasiou, I think I'm saying that right. The kid who's got fucking rockets to his skates.
Oh,
he is so fast, but
Detroit almost let him go.
Yeah, apparently.
So there might not be bad blood between them, but I don't know how long he'll.
There's a couple
there.
sharks in the water.
Yeah. Like anytime a player has a contract dispute, like there's. I just see that.
And it's right out of rookie season too.
Yeah.
It's not like you're an established player that has been good for, say you had a 3 or 4 year contract before then and you were real good and then they're like, we're still not going to pay you that much.
Yeah, I just see.
You're a kid.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of what the Knights are doing, just long-term contracts for a small amount of money. That way, if it doesn't work out, they're still on the team for a long time, but they're not getting overpaid. Like you see that a lot. Players will just get overpaid, and I'm not a fan of overpaying for not great talent.
Yeah. And actually, now that you're mentioning contract extensions, there were a few ones that are notable for mentioning, and I love the one because Pecorine got just a nice little 2-year deal for $10. We're birthday buddies, and he always gets, like, if it's coming up, he always tries to make sure like the contract extension falls on his birthday. He did it with the last extension that he had, and he did it for this one. So this past Saturday, he got re-signed.
Do you think he'll agree to the contract and then just hold on to it and won't sign it
until his birthday? Maybe
until my birthday.
Maybe. Apparently, I guess he's a big birthday guy. Also, that's a hell of a birthday present too. Hey, here's 10 sheets. Yeah, have fun. Yanni Gord got re-signed for a pretty solid deal. 6 years. The AAV was 5.166.
How does Tampa Bay have any money? Like,
I have no idea. I mean, it's a sizable deal, but I think it's actually below.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd love to see what the average contract, just add up all of the players in the league, find out what the average contract and terms, and you know, just see where that kind of falls.
I guarantee if I looked for it or did some digging and looking for it, it's the same thing. Um, on Cap Friendly, I guarantee I could find something. So, because I mean, they have everything, and I don't know how they keep up to date with it. It's incredible. They do a great job. But I came to Cap Friendly for something. Um,
I don't know. I see on here that Victor Arvidsson is on IR, but
and he was having a solid season too. I mean, the
he's a
Preds are
great
ridiculous.
yeah, he's a great secondary scoring guy for Nashville. Nashville's a really good team. They they are built. Got a little worried when they did the Weber trade for Subban
Best thing they
because
probably could have ever done.
oh yeah, by far. And then you also think about imagine what that team would look like now if instead of Johansson they still had Seth Jones. Like that defense would just you have Subban, Jones, Yossi. That right there is an all-star team.
I don't know what would have helped them better because I think that trade was one of those trades
Well,
where it was
they
almost
needed yeah,
it was
they
almost
need
a
yeah.
win-win for both teams.
They needed it. They needed Johansson, and Johansson he needed out of Columbus. Columbus needed the defenseman, and Seth Jones. He's hey, I put money on Seth Jones winning the Norris this year.
I don't know how I mean, and I say it that I'm gonna pay more attention, especially since I haven't been doing fantasy this year, which is a real weight off my shoulders. But I I haven't been paying too much attention to out of market teams. Um, but Columbus is another one of those teams that isn't that bad. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're someone that is in other than right now down the line will be either in a playoff spot or fighting for it. I don't know if they'll necessarily be in those top three for the Metro. They could. I mean, I honestly don't think Pittsburgh's going to hold up. I don't think they're in that position anymore. I think all of their luck has run out with those young guys that they randomly bring up at the end of the year that just go on tears. And Matt Murray is too injury prone for his
See,
age.
I like Pittsburgh still. Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh finishes number one, and I don't think I could see Washington or Philadelphia is going to finish number one.
Yeah, Philly's got to get their head out of their ass too, because they're another team they look good, or on paper,
On paper,
but
they're
their
a good
performance
team.
is
They always start
puppy
off
shit.
slow and then they turn it on in November. So this is going to be the month. We're going to see we're I feel like every team if you're in a playoff spot in November, like it's got to be like 80% of the time like you're in a playoff spot come April. But end of November we'll see. November's Philly's lucky month.
Last year, was it last year that they went on the 10-game winning spree?
No, no.
Or the year
Flyers
before?
were the first team to go on a 10-game win streak and miss playoffs. That happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they were the first team to lose 10 games in a row and make playoffs, which happened last year. So,
Bad streaks.
streaky team.
Just a bit. One thing I guess that has shocked me, and it's kind of reverting back to what we were saying about San Jose, because I just can't wrap my brain around it. You have basically almost as close to an all-star team you can get without having a McDavid, a Crosby, a Malkin, or one of those guys on the team. But on one hand, you still have a winning record. They're 7-4-3. on the other hand, they dropped some terrible games, i.e., 2 to the Rangers, which, I mean, I'm happy about to a point. A lot of people who are in for the tank will argue with that.
What?
But
That's 2 of your 3 wins.
5, all right. Like people say, like, what's the point? Either lose or win in regulation, or like it's like a something like that. It's a stupid argument. I mean, they're going to be in the bottom of the league. That's unless something weird happens and they click and all of Quinn's stuff is working. Oh, they have 7 wins or 6 wins. I'm sorry. Either way, I don't. I guess they have stuff to figure out. I'm happy to a certain extent that the Rangers have gotten them out of the way in the first month and a half ish of the season. But I think come post just after All-Star break, probably leading into All-Star break, they'll start to heat up. After that, you're gonna have Carlson, you're gonna have Couture, you're gonna have Burns, and probably Pavelski, maybe even Timo Meier in this. They're all going to be in the All-Star game. It's going to be one of those years where I don't remember where the All-Star game is this year. Normally, it's like the hosting team has like a lot of players in it.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Sharks, even though I don't think it's in San Jose.
Well,
I don't know where it is.
It's a fan vote, and what they do is they just nominate like 3 players from each team, and you have to vote between that because of John Scott and the fans just.
That's another reason why, I said it last year, I hate the way that the All-Star games are set up now. I am not a fan. I do like the 3-on-3. I'm not a fan of each division has a team, and their jerseys are horrendous. I look forward to seeing what atrocities they come up with this year.
Hey, I just know I do a drinking game with my friends during the All-Star game. We take a shot every time a team scores. I don't know if
how much do you end up remembering from these games?
I cannot tell you who wins till the next day.
I haven't really been a fan of.
But I can tell you who loses. Me every time.
Yeah, I've never really been a fan since they started splitting it up. I did like the fantasy draft though. I thought that was fun. That gives, and it's a great thing for the game because it gives the players a chance to show more personality than your normal. So Patrick Kane, what did you think about today's game? Well, it just didn't go our way, and
I'm loving the personality that is coming out because. Did you see Anton Khudobin's?
I saw it multiple times, but since I was at work, I couldn't listen to it with volume.
It was.
I heard it was Brizgalov par.
It was. It was better than anything Brizgalov has ever said, in my opinion.
I don't know. I've met him. I coached his kid. He's out there. Great guy. Out there. But so is his kid.
They asked him how he resets from
a goal.
From playing back-to-back games. And he's the backup goalie, so he's not playing in both games. Especially like he's playing behind Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop's getting one of the starts, so I don't understand where the question was coming from in the first place.
I feel like it's a general, like just in case.
Yeah, but they asked him, and it's just like, oh, say some curse words, break a stick, say some more curse words. Go home, watch TV, come to practice, say some more curse words, yell at a teammate, then play game.
Russians, man, they're out there. I will never understand a Russian. The only ones that ever kind of make sense is Ovechkin's the most relatable Russian. He'll say some weird shit, but he's like trying to speak as American as possible. Like Malkin said, "I am score" one time. You have Briz talking about space and being afraid of bears. You have the Hudobin one. There's been a bunch of weird. I feel like Kovalchuk's just always way too serious for anything.
Well, I loved the story on Chicklets when they were talking about Malkin. or like 3 years after playing with the guy, they asked him what his name was, what his first name was, and he's just like, "Oh no, he's 97 or whatever number he said." It's just like totally didn't know. He doesn't know names. He just learns their numbers for practice.
He is something else. He's a freak for starters, but he's something else. Like Russians are a one of a kind breed. Um,
Kucherov, Panarin, they seem pretty normal.
yeah, I feel like Cooch is pretty just on the ground. I feel like Panarin can get super weird. Like you see the tunnel dance after
Oh
the
yeah,
overtime goal.
that's the best dance I've ever seen.
Speaking of dances, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with it right now. Post-win celebrations for the Hurricanes, home wins.
When they run into the boards.
Yeah, they do the the sprint from it's like the far blue line to the far boards of like far end boards, and you have Dougie Hamilton flossing because he was one of the stars of the game. I mean I get it, you're having fun, but it is just I don't understand.
I
It's
want to know who thought of that. Like, hey, we just played a hockey game.
Rod
We
the
won.
Bod is just like guys, just have fun. I feel like that honestly, if that's what a coach said to us, I would love that more than the coach that gets out there and is up your ass for everything, like even the small stuff. Obviously, things are like turnovers are gonna happen, stuff like that. But there's a point where it's just like, all right, you know what? It's a new system. I'm a new head coach. I don't remember what happened with the rest of the coaching staff. I can't remember if they were new or existing. You got a couple of new guys. Michael
Well,
Furlan's been playing great for them.
He was one of the. Brindy was one of the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
He started a couple years ago as a part-time coach. He did assistant only on home games. He'd come to home games, and then slowly became full-time, and now he's the head coach. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they have some serious talent on that team. It was only a matter of time before they start kicking it back up. I was very, I mean, as a non-fan of the like actual fan, like non-Hurricanes fan, I was actually concerned when they traded away Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm. I mean, you had
I think
two studs that you're just like, all right, see ya, and they're thriving in Calgary.
I don't really know a lot about Hannafin or his stats or anything. I just know that he was taken before Provorov and Werenski, and I've always just wondered, like, you had those three defensemen, and they all seem like interchangeable with talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hannafin's the less offensive of the two. I mean, you see when
He's smaller though, right?
I could tell you in a second. But I mean, I think he's a pretty decently sized. But I mean, you've seen Provorov. What did he have? He had double-digit goals.
He led the league in goals last year with 17.
Yeah, which
For a defenseman.
For a defenseman, and I mean, they made playoffs, but they weren't like the strongest on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flyers are a first and out playoff team. If they make playoffs, they're one and done.
But yeah, he's great offensively. I think was it playoffs last year or the year before? You saw Werenski just crushed it.
Yeah,
offensively.
Yeah.
See,
Werenski's extremely talented and
fast, has a cannon for a shot.
You look at Columbus as a team. Like you got on defense, you got Werenski and Jones. I can't say enough good things about Seth Jones. That kid can play.
Oh yeah, I love his play style. Great vision. I mean, I think they gave him right before he was drafted that label of like a Lindstrom-esque player. I mean, there's always one of those in the draft. They say, I don't know if they gave that title kind of to Keandre Miller, but it's like a similar. He's actually in my mind more similar to Seth Jones, and not because they're both black. but because they have great vision, they're moving the puck, and I mean, you'll see if you pay attention to any sort of college hockey, which I don't, but I see a lot of stuff mentioned because of Keandre, and he was named like rookie of the month for the first month of the season. And he's doing great things up in Wisconsin, so I'm excited to see him come in a couple of years, so long as they aren't stupid and trade him away because the Rangers are known to do stupid trades like that sometimes. But
only when they want to win a cup.
Yeah.
Don't.
yeah, but back to the Provorov, Hanifin, Werenski thing. Provorov's the shortest of the three. Hanifin's the biggest.
Really?
Yeah, and they're all an inch of each other. Hanifin 6'1", Werenski 6'2".
I don't know why I always
Provies.
thought like Noah Hanifin. I just imagined some short dude.
And they're all about the same weight too. I mean, their weight is basically on par with their height. So they each get a little bit heavier as you go up in height. All of them great defensemen. I mean, so far, Hanifin's only got 4 points at Calgary, but he is a plus. He's +2. And Calgary is, what do we see, second? Oh, of course.
Calgary's up there. I think they're third. No, first or third?
No, first in the Pacific.
Yeah, first. Because Vancouver was second.
Yeah, but
which is another big surprise.
They look great. Gaudreau is Gaudreau. He's doing Gaudreau things.
Obviously.
Sean Monahan. His line.
Chuck and Gaudreau, they're great. Can't say enough good things about them. Lindholm, who was the other part of that deal for Hanifin. They got Hanifin and Lindholm, and Lindholm's lighting it up. You got Giordano. I love Giordano. I always try and get him in fantasy hockey. Like, he's
a nice staple guy.
Solid, reliable. I love him. I can't say enough good things about him. You got James Neal, who hasn't really
underperforming.
Yeah, hasn't really done a lot, but I think he's just at this point he's getting old. He had a good year last year with the Kings or with the Knights, not the Kings.
The other medieval team.
Yeah,
I did that so much last year. It was frustrating.
But
he's 31. That's technically your prime. A lot of people say when you're entering your 30s and then 31, 32.
I'd say your prime is
but I feel like
25 to 30.
Yeah, I feel like for hockey it's a little different.
Those 5 years, I don't even know if it's I'd say that in any sport, any professional sport, 25 to 30, because everybody starts talking about in football. The second you hit 31,
you're thinking about retirement. You're thinking about retirement at 31. There's no reason to play after that. Your bones are just going to be dust. Joints are grinding against each other at that point.
But
it was a solid 2 weeks for the league. And Rantanen is I think he's surprising more and more people every year.
Can you see where he was drafted? It was I like looking up where players were drafted to see if that year my team drafted before or after them.
10th overall in 2015.
All right. So the Flyers let him go in order to get Provorov. That's another one from that draft. That's got to be a good draft.
2015 draft. Oh yeah. I was actually, for some reason, I was looking that up. I think I couldn't remember what year McDavid was drafted for some reason.
It was 15, right?
Yeah, it was that draft. Which, let's see if it'll just hot link it. That would be nice. I wish it did.
Nope. But yeah, that draft, what a draft. But look at some of these teams that are getting old real quick.
The Kings are number 1 on that list. They have to be.
I'd say the Kings, Detroit, and Anaheim. Anaheim has a killer defense and amazing goaltending, but their offense just... Getzlaf is playing so slow. it looks like
he's transitioned from the goal scorer to the dish master. Like he's like, all right, I'm gonna go to that hash mark. You're gonna go back door, and I'm gonna throw a sauce that nobody's gonna be able to touch, and it's gonna go right to your tape, and then right to the back of the net.
and then Corey Perry, is he still alive?
If he's not hurt, um,
Yeah,
he's not doing anything.
Anaheim is just
Production is
injury central.
slowly slowed down.
Kessler,
Like it's been less and less every year. Kessler, I mean, is on 2 fake hips or something like that.
Yeah.
The guys can still play. It's nothing against them, but it's not the same
In this
caliber
league
as
where the best players,
average
Rodman,
age is 22.
Pasternak, McKinnon, like they're all not like they're not even 25 yet.
McKinnon's not even. I think he's 22.
Yeah, like these are all kids.
23.
And then they're going up against somebody that's like Getzlaff and Perry and that Anaheim. I think Anaheim's the next team to fire their coach. Is that Carlisle? I think Carlisle's the next one to go.
That wouldn't surprise me. And what sucks is on the back end, they're pretty solid. I mean, we mentioned Cam Fowler before. He's a guy that's really like coming out, showing us what's up. And I mean, John Gibson is a great goaltender. They locked him up for like 8 years or 6 years, something like that.
Yeah. And whatever they're paying him, it's not enough. They're letting so many shots on goal.
Oh, they had a crazy a record breaking or like a crazy high statistical amount of shots in the game through like the first 5 games or something.
Carolina also allows more shots on goal than I want to say they're averaging like 40 shots on goal. It's something crazy like that. But yeah, Anaheim got old real quick. Chicago's getting old. And like Chicago, do you fire? Like I always feel bad for firing the coach. It's not really the coach's fault that the system isn't working. I was like Duncan Keith got thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
On that 5th game of their losing streak, which made them drop the 5 in a row, which was the final blow to Quenneville's coaching job. It just makes you wonder, like, if Keith stays in that game, do they still lose? And does Quenneville have a job?
I don't know. I don't know. And also to kind of piggyback off that, Patrick Kane had a quote, and I'm so happy I saw that. And we brought this back up because I forgot to mention it earlier. So he said, and I quote, when I first heard the news of, Quenneville being fired, I was thinking, I wish I wasn't sick in that game in Vancouver. I wish I felt better on the road trip. I wish I could have played better, and something like this doesn't happen. So he almost feels kind of personally at fault, and that Quenneville was let go maybe a little prematurely. I mean, it's almost the Laviolette reasoning that I kind of throw. I think it's too early because it's not like they're terrible. They did miss the playoffs last year. They still have a good team. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that they need to fix, but it's not horrible, especially when you have a coach that has brought you 3 cups in the last, 8 years and has built a moderately averaged age team. Because I don't think they're too old. I think the defense is very old. Offense, not so much. I mean, it's getting there. But I don't know how their farm system looks, so who knows what they'd be like down the 2-3 years down the line when they really, really need it.
Well, I know Chicago had a pretty good draft this year. They got DeBrincat,
who's a stud.
He is a
severely undersized stud. It's incredible. The kid's like 5'3", 5'4". He's so small, but can just put the puck in the net at will.
Yeah, DeBrincat's good. They got a lot of young talent. I question why
he's 5'7". I'm sorry,
but he's listed as 5'7".
Yeah.
We don't know how.
Okay, and that's Wikipedia. But I mean, even still, 5'7", same thing with Gaudreau. Very undersized. He's probably like 175 pounds. Like, it's, and scored how many goals last year? I don't know why I opened that new tab.
I mean, Tampa is so good because they take these undersized guys that
And it
teams
works.
just don't want.
And it works perfectly in their system.
Yeah.
Tyler Johnson. I mean, the triplets line in general. I think Palat's the tallest of the three before Cooch had that real stud breakout year. I think like the year after or something like that, where they started putting him with Stamkos and he was running power play 1. And he scored 40 goals. That whole system is nuts. And if they don't win the cup this year, I'm going to be real pissed because I want another first round pick. That deal is make or break.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you could easily dish those first two. I mean, if you want to, if we're not in the running for Hughes somehow, you could dish those first two because they're gonna be high picks. Well, one of them will.
Well, what's great about you keep bringing up the running for Hughes. I think I really am rooting for Ottawa to win that pick.
I think
because Ottawa has to get rid of it. They can't keep their first round pick this year. They offered it in a trade. It was part of a deal. It was conditioned. They got to pick either to give up last year's first round pick or this year's, and they picked Brady
Hughes
Tkachuk.
or Brady Tkachuk. I don't know.
They picked Brady Tkachuk last year, so whatever they get this year is null and void. It goes to somebody else, which is why I want them to get that number 1 overall.
Yeah, good enough. That would be hilarious. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before, ever.
I know the Devils were supposed to give up a first round pick because the Kovalchuk, it was their penalty. It was their cap penalty because they went over the salary cap when they signed Kovalchuk. And their punishment was giving up a first round pick. But because Kovalchuk left the team, they were allowed to give up a second round pick instead. Or no. They were given the last pick of the first round. Like they still had to give up their first pick that year, but they were rewarded with the last pick as like a pity move.
You got screwed. So here's the,
So like you broke the rules, but then
last guy. It's yours.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of perusing the 2015 draft. There's some unreal names in this first round. You had Matt Barzal taken 16th overall. Besser, 23rd overall. Konechny, 24th, who I can't wait for him to like truly have a breakout year. He's my favorite player to watch on the Flyers.
Now he is the reason I think Hackstall still has a job. Hackstall is, say what you want about his in-game coaching and everything, but he was brought in to coach up the prospects, and he's coached Provorov into being a number 1 defenseman, something the team desperately needs. He's coached Konechny into he had 24 goals last year, so a 20-plus goal scorer. He's coached Nolan Patrick. Like he was brought in to coach these young guys, and I mean, I think it's talent that's carrying them, not so much his coaching, but also it makes you say, like, how much of his coaching is helping them. Is he guiding them? We're not in the room. We don't know. We just see what's going on the ice in games, and it's a questionable coach, which is why I think a lot of people want him fired. But on the other hand, he's coaching these prospects up, and I think that's important. That's why we signed him to a 5-year deal.
I just realized that the Rangers could have had Anthony Bolivier.
Oh, there was a couple people
kind of upset about it.
Anthony I can't. I'm not.
Bolivier.
I'm not going to try.
It's super French.
Anthony. All right, we'll just call him Ant. They could have. He was part of. I feel like Edmonton had his draft pick to begin with.
Yeah, what I'm reading here is the Rangers' first round pick went to the Islanders as a result of a trade that sent Edmonton's second round pick in 2015 and Florida's third-round pick to Tampa in exchange for this.
So it was originally Edmonton's pick. Edmonton
It's very
gave
confusing.
Edmonton gave the Islanders Ant Bolivier.
Close enough.
Totally butcher. I'm not French. They gave Jordan Eberle and Barzell. Barzell, I feel like, was the other part. Was originally an Edmonton pick too.
Let me see. From Pittsburgh via Edmonton, yeah.
Yep. And so that entire line last year was made up of former Edmonton picks.
Now, I wonder if, had they picked them, would they be in the same position as they are now?
Yeah.
Does that affect the McDavid? Or actually, no. McDavid was that year. But does that affect, the couple of the years to come where they would get the ridiculous picks because they sucked, even though they've gotten the last
you
12 years of first overalls?
Who was let's just go through their first round picks. It's funny.
For Edmonton?
Yeah, they had McDavid, then they had who was the other one? Nugent Hopkins.
Nugent Hopkins, Yakupov, who was a
That's
bust,
who it was.
who was sick in the OHL. So good. I would play whenever I played Be a Pro, since I, humble brag, was almost picked up by Sarnia's Junior B team. I went up for a tryout. Had a good tryout. They didn't like me, apparently.
Don't sweat it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I got my chance. I would always play, in Be a Pro. I'd start off on Sarnia's thing if I started in the OHL. But he was sick there and then got to the NHL and was horrendous. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, he's bounced around. I don't know if he's anywhere now. I think he might have gone to the KHL.
Yeah.
I
think he's playing for SKA.
Yeah, he spent some time in Colorado, and then he was also in St. Louis for a year, I think. But
yeah,
Edmonton. They also had Taylor Hall, which they traded for Adam Larson.
Yeah,
that was the worst trade I think I've ever seen.
Highway robbery. Okay, so here we go. I wish it would just show first round picks, but let's start we'll start from 2010. First overall, Taylor Hall.
Great pick.
Awesome.
If only they didn't trade him.
Yeah. The next year, they had 2 first round picks. They got RNH and Oscar Klefbom, 2 of which who are still with the team. And Klefbom is still, he's a decent defenseman. I feel like he'd be better on some other team. That's just me. The next year was Yakupov.
Ugh.
Regrets. Their first round pick in 2013 was Darnell Nurse.
Yep.
Oh.
Donovan McNabb's nephew.
Yeah. Who is actually a solid defenseman. I like him. He's a good mix of tough and skill.
Yeah.
14, Leon Draisaitl, 3rd overall.
I like how in Germany, when he was drafted, it came out that Germany referred to him as the German Gretzky. And now he's playing for Edmonton, and he's not Gretzky.
No, I mean he's a great player, but not even close. And then you have McJesus, 2015, and 2016 is almost a bust in my opinion. Puljujarvi could be so good, but he just stinks on the Oilers, and he's been hurt a few times too. I'm pretty sure. This kid is 18, probably 20 years old. I mean, solid player. When he did play for a little bit last year or the year before, real strong on his feet. Good, but it's Edmonton, so I mean, a lot of players just kind of they don't thrive there unless your name's McDavid. And then let's see, last year, 2017, Yamamoto, he's going to be really good.
He lit up the preseason and then complete bust regular season. And then
Yeah.
here's Evan Bouchard.
It was a solid defenseman. London Knights, I mean, they were sick in the OHL, so they also have.
I really hope, I hope that Edmonton gets their shit together. It's rough. I really feel bad for them. Great franchise. I like their jerseys. You know, I like the orange.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where they're a storied franchise that had great success in the past, but then it's just mistake after mistake when it came to management, I guess. I don't, because these players that they're taking they're not bad. I mean, they made some horrible trades, but they just can't find it. And I mean, they had Talbot the year he came there, real good.
Yeah.
Brought him to the playoffs. I was upset that the Rangers traded him away, but hasn't done too much since then. So,
Yeah.
but fuck, this is a long one.
Yeah.
This is the longest episode we've had in a very long time. Did you have anything else you want to cover?
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, because at this point I'm basically rambling about the Edmonton Oilers that I know nothing about.
I'm a West Coast guy. I like watching the West Coast teams.
It's another reason why I wanted you to come on,
Yeah.
because you know how much we don't talk about them.
Yeah, you guys stick to Philly and New York.
We try to mix it up.
Yeah. Those are the teams that you're familiar with, but I like following the West Coast. I don't see the Knights making playoffs. I think last year the only reason they made playoffs was because
Perfect storm.
Well, honestly, no. I think Vegas strong. Like they had just the motivation to do it for their city.
Mm.
You look, that was the Boston strong was the year Boston.
I'll look it up.
I think they made it to the Cup final that year, but like
that was
Yeah.
2013. So they
but like still,
it's you
a
build off.
motivation.
Yeah.
The team, the city needs something to rally behind after a terrible tragedy, and as a sports franchise, you give them something to help them forget for a second that like it's such a terrible time, for that city. So that's why I think it was like a motivational thing for Vegas to go on all the way. They should have won, but
That would have been incredible. But I
Yeah.
think at that point, if they won, Ovechkin's never, ever getting a cup. And I would hate to see that happen.
Ovi needs the cup, and then we don't get all those
And we
celebrations.
need
that
Ovi
needed.
to have the cup. We as fans. I don't care who you like.
We need Ovi to have the cup.
That was
We
a
need
great
Oshie
first 3
to have
months.
The cup. That was what a team.
And then they can Barry Trotz.
I don't think they can Barry Trotz. I think he left on his own terms. I think he didn't want to stay. I don't really know what was going on.
I don't know how you can
I'm
not stay
him.
after winning a cup. But I know money
He wanted the
related.
I think you want it like a challenge. You know?
Not that I don't disagree with that. I just think that's a stupid reason. you know the
know.
team you have and it's working. Why would you, go to a team
Hey,
that
I mean,
is...
I play GM mode, franchise mode, whatever it's called now. Like that's my go-to. And after I build a dynasty and just completely dominate, I always just take whatever the first contract is next time I have a contract available. Like I just leave the team that I just manhandled the league with. And you know what I miss GM Connected. Sorry, that's side note.
No, I wish that was there too. I would really, really like to play. Because they had it in Madden. I remember at school, my roommates would play the GM Connected in Madden They had a couple other friends that were in the league too, and it was just really fun for them at least. I mean, every now and then I would sit there and watch or play Call of Duty, wait for them while they were playing that. But yeah, that would be fun to add back in. I think what they did with 19,
I like 19.
I think they did well. I actually enjoyed them. Not
Threes is a lot of fun.
terrible. To, disregard the hole in my desk. That was actually because I was playing Josh.
Not me.
But yeah, that would be fun to bring back. Other than that, I think that's about all I've got.
Yeah, so I put $1 before we started this that every team tonight gets the over, and so far I am not winning.
I'm curious to see how.
Now the reason I only bet $1 is because the payout would have been $238. So you got to rake in that money when you can.
I went from 5th to 10th.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I really, really thank you for coming on. Not that I'm mad at other Josh. It's just that I wanted to get this going.
Birthday things.
Yeah.
You got your birthday celebration.
Yeah, it's his turn now.
Mine's Saturday for all you listeners. If you want to go to Xfinity, that's where I'll be. And I'm more than welcome to buy me a shot.
Take him up on that. All right. Other than that, if you like what you're listening to, subscribe to us on iTunes. Rate us and review. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking about it. Hasn't been many, so come on. Make me feel good about myself. Or bad. I don't care at this point. Something is better than nothing. Follow us on Twitter at Podcast Pigeons. Follow us on Instagram at The Podcast Pigeons. And like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Podcast Pigeons, I'm pretty sure. It'll all be down in the little description of the episode. Josh, if you want Twitter followers, go for it.
No, I'm fine. As they say in Canada, peace out.
Later, guys. Just hit space bar.